Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the CFS Health Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morrison, and on the other side of our interview is Ash Ward, who is General Manager and Head of Client Success at CFS Health. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
For anyone who doesn't know, by the way, CFS Health doesn't stand for chronic fatigue syndrome. It stands for choice, freedom, success. I know there's a lot of people who've been listening for many, many years and they've never actually known. And I remember I got a question recently saying, what does CFS Health stand for? And it's choice, freedom, success. So just to clear that up and clarify for anyone listening, yes, it's a play on words. And we believe at CFS Health that really it is about making choices, creating freedom, and having success with that. So without further ado, let's get into today's podcast, a little bit of a segue there. Today, we're going to talk about the all or nothing attitude. And it's something that's very commonly played, I guess, in society, but more so in recovery with people with chronic fatigue syndrome. Whether there was a behavior pattern before this kind of happened to you, that there was this all or nothing tendency, or it's developed through having chronic fatigue syndrome where you're kind of having this all or nothing mindset with everything. Like, I need to sleep a perfect 12 hours a night, or I need to have the perfect diet, or screw that, I'm not doing anything. You know, it's like all or nothing. And so we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to give you some tips around that to potentially loosen the grip and maybe find some middle ground. So if you're someone who's all or nothing, if you feel like you're a bit of a perfectionist and you're just really struggling with any kind of change or real tangible progress, then I would listen in today. Before we get into that, I want to share win of the week. I'm going to throw it to Ash because she's head of client success and she's the one that kind of gets all the love and the emails coming through. So for this week, Ash, who gets win of the week?
This is an anonymous share from one of our members from the end of last year.
You know, a lot of our members are so great at inspiring and sharing stuff. And also some people want to stay anonymous, which is totally fair and reasonable too. So, you know, no judgment either way. But yeah, so
Absolutely.
Thankful for this person for allowing us to share this because it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And without a request either, this is just, someone who wrote to me with their experience. But yes, we only share anything with full permission. So that's always good to note.
Yeah.
So this person wrote in to me and said, when I joined the course, I was depressed. I was sleeping in the middle of the day. I couldn't spend time with my 3-year-old daughter and I couldn't walk our dog. But I was still functioning and doing a lot of things for other people. Now I am vibrant and loving my life and want to be here. I don't need to nap in the day. I can spend time with my daughter and genuinely look forward to spending time with her. I can walk my dog and I work part-time. The biggest part of the course for me was the guilt workshop. Also being able to loosen the grip. I can see now that my mindset was carrying heavy loads and I was not putting myself first at all. Also letting go of perfectionism and overachievement has allowed me to gain back energy and take care of myself. Life is so much better now, and not because of all the things I can be doing, but because of how I feel in my mind.
It's amazing. Big shout out to this person. If you're listening, you know who you are. Thanks for sharing. Really appreciate it because I think a lot of people can relate to a couple of things from there. The first thing is, I want to live now. Is a huge one, because it is depressing. People often say to me, they'll come and say, what do you do for work? And I say, oh, we help people with chronic fatigue syndrome get healthy and start living again. And the first thing they say is that real? I always know someone with it, but is it kind of like more of a mental problem? And I say, no, it's a neurological syndrome. It affects you physiologically. What happens is people, when they're going through chronic fatigue syndrome, they can't do what they used to be able to do physically. And so therefore it creates a secondary depression, where we mourn the thing that we can't do now. And, I often say to the person, oh, you look kind of fit. What do you do? And they go, I ride the bike. I say, how long do you ride the bike for? I ride for 2 hours every morning. Okay, cool. If I took your bike away and your ability to ride 2 hours every morning, how would you feel mentally and emotionally? And they go, oh, terrible. That's what people with chronic fatigue syndrome deal with every single day. Wow. Total difference. So it's really cool that person shared that. And, you know, the heaviness and the hardness that comes with having a child going through this. We have lots of mums, lots of single mums who go through this process. But one of the key highlights, I think, is that the mindset and the perfectionism. What did she say at the end there about carrying a heavy load or something like that in the share, Ash?
Yeah. She said, also being able to loosen the grip. And I can see now that my mindset was carrying heavy loads and I was not putting myself first at all. Also letting go of perfectionism and overachievement has allowed me to gain back energy and take care of myself.
Yeah, sweet. So good. You know, so I think that second piece is really speaking to the topic that we're talking about right now, which is this all or nothing mindset. You know, it's black or white. It's this or that. And I think we all need these reminders. And I think, again, that's the culture of the 21st century, of the online Instagram and Facebook and the marketing of the world that says it's just this way, you know, and they paint the picture, but it's only this much of the picture that we're hearing. So we're not seeing everything else. You know, it's almost like there's success without the hard work, but then there's all this hard work. And most people posting about this success these days is just a lie most of the time. Anyway, it's not real. And so I think already the cultures are kind of against us. But secondly, I think it is in our nature to have this all or nothing mindset. A psychologist coined the term cognitive distortions. And there's 10 cognitive distortions. And one of them is black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, among with other things of like negative bias. So only focusing on the negative, not the positive, or judgment thinking, or should and shouldn't thinking. So there's 10 different cognitive distortions. I'd highly recommend you Google that, 10 cognitive distortions. But one of them is all or nothing thinking. And it's so great. I forget the psychologist who came up with it, but it's really good because as soon as you become aware of it, you can kind of call it for what it is and change it. And so I love it because of that. Which one of the 10 are you doing right now? Oh, there I go again. I'm doing that all or nothing thinking. And as soon as you can do that, then you can call it what it is, and then that you can change it, you know. But until you're aware of it, it's very hard to change because you're stuck in it. You're in the behavior. So we need to get outside of ourselves to see it for what it is. And it's like, black and white thinking, not great. Hilarious that you're wearing a white t-shirt. I'm wearing a black t-shirt, by the way. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see. And what we need to do is find the middle ground between the black t-shirt and the white t-shirt, which is the gray area. And there's that middle part between the two where it's neutral. It's not good. It's not bad. Doesn't have to be great. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be super messy too. It can be in between. And I think what this lady said in that testimonial, saying, oh, I've loosened the grip and that has given me more energy. Well, what she's really saying is she's bringing the gray. She's meeting life in the gray, and it doesn't have to be freaking all or nothing anymore. Oh, I can breathe. I don't have to be the perfect mum. I don't have to have the perfect plan. I think most people, especially guys who are working on their baseline, feel like they have to be and have the perfect baseline. In fact, some of them feel like they have to be the perfect student. And maybe that's come from their parenting from 30 years ago, 20 years ago. This is how you must study. This is how you must show up. This is the grade that you have to get in order to be a good human being, which is just so not nice, not a nice way to live. Quite stressful, really. I'm very lucky that my parents never put that kind of pressure on me, because I can only imagine the patterns that comes with. The pressure that you must feel every single day of your life when you wake up and you go, I have to be up here all the time. I can't fail, basically. I met so many people through our programs and through working one-on-one, and most people who experience chronic fatigue syndrome at one stage, there's usually a pressure component that comes with this. It's not just one thing.
And regardless of parenting or not, it's a society pressure. It's a culture. So it may or may not be parenting, but it comes from like a societal parenting that we're in, that we all feel. We all feel it because we're in that culture. So it takes a very intentional decision to be like, I might want to look at this or change this way of thinking that I have. this all or nothing. You know, it's very introspective.
One of the things we say in our program is you're either winning or you're learning. So the learning is the gray area. The all or nothing thinker says, I either win or I fail. There's no in between. It's such a heavy burden to carry that failure feeling around on your back. And that's why this person saying that the guilt workshop was the most powerful training for inside the program. Shout out to Mel Ryan, who's just an incredible coach. And she took our members through a training on how to let go of guilt. And it's been so unbelievably helpful for so many members around the world. Huge breakthroughs of letting go of that heavy backpack. And ultimately what it's really teaching is the gray area. You either win or you learn. There's really no such thing as failure. We can turn failure into learning. And that's where we kind of reframe and go from black to gray. And, you know, I think it's really important sometimes just to stay neutral. We constantly coach our members on the maintenance stages of recovery. So, you know, a lot of them, they just want the sexy progress. It's like, I just want to progress to the next level. What's progress? It's like we have 6 phases inside just our movement program alone of like progressing to the next stage of recovery. It's great. Members start from pre-beginner all the way up and they go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Shout out to our movement specialist, Steph Ryan. But they miss the gap in between, which is the gray area of maintenance, you know? And that's actually the sexy part in a way because it solidifies everything that you're doing. And I think it's just so important. I just started training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the coach, he sends a text message every week. It's hilarious. But he talked about this in his last text message to his students. And he said, you know, this all or nothing thinking of like, I need to just be the best at this. And then I want to move on really fast. He's like, you're so much better off. If you want to get really good, stay at where you're at and just get good at that one thing. Don't just try and have this all or nothing thinking of like, you need to know it all now, because you're not. Like, you're just not. And it's a really fast way to fail. You've just got to stay in the gray area of the unknown, but just stay there and just get good at that first before you think about the next move. And I related it back to, I guess, our conversation of this all or nothing thinking. It doesn't have to be black and white.
No. And I think this member who said, you know, about loosening the grip, there can also be a reference of loosening the grip around our expectations, right? Because it's usually our expectations that are driving the all or nothing. Yeah. Because the all is trying to get to the expectation that we just set upon ourselves. With the all or nothing thinking, there is a goal in mind of an expectation or a bar that's been set for us to do the all to get there. Like there's something there to get that's all or nothing. And so when you're finding this gray area, this neutral place, there's quite often not set specific expectations. There's a loosening of what am I expecting here? There's more of a trust. I'm doing the things and I trust that I'm moving towards, yes, I have goals, but it's not this rigid. I have an expectation of I'm going to be here at this particular time. It's going to take me X amount of months to get here. I'll be doing this activity by then. Because we reached that timeline, our expectations are not met.
What you're going through, there's enough pressure already. All right. You don't need to add more pressure on top of what you're already experiencing. A little bit like when I say you don't need to add more complexity to a complex situation. The chronic fatigue syndrome is very complex. It really affects every area of your life. It affects every aspect of your body. It's really tough and it's very complex. You don't need more complexity to add to that. That's why we need to simplify. One of the number one key accelerators on our CFS Health model is simplify. Learn, connect, simplify. First 3 accelerators out of the 9. And if you want to progress, you got to start there. Simplify. And simplify is really just about getting back into that middle ground of just being here now, having an aim, having an intention, and then doing what you can to help yourself move through that. Not putting time constraints on, not putting extra added pressure. That's just exhausting. One of the big terms that we use inside the program is loosen the grip. Because if you're holding on so tight, it's going to be freaking exhausting. And I remember Well, I had a client join many years ago from UK. It's a great story to finish with. And she came in, she was so excited, very overwhelmed. And it was like as soon as she joined the program and paid the money, she was like, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to get my baseline right. I'm going to get my mindset right. Her jaw was so tight. That's how she was so driven, right? And obviously that wasn't going to work. And so what happened a month in, she wasn't going forwards at all. She was kind of going backwards. And she was very frustrated on our coaching call. And she said, I'm just so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. And I said, I understand. What happens when you hold on so tight to something with your hand? And she goes, well, it gets sore and it hurts. Well, that's what you're doing with your recovery right now. And I said, I need you to loosen the grip. I need you to open your hand up a little bit and just don't hold on so tight. Stop measuring every freaking second of the day. Stop feeling like you need to do everything perfect and you need to get the program right, because that's not part of the program. I said, you didn't invest in this to be like this. You invested in this to do the opposite of what you're actually doing. And it was like a light bulb went on. It was actually incredible. The next month, she came on to our next call, different person. She was on the call smiling like a little student, you know. She was a mum as well. She was a mum. She's like a 5-year-old kid, like just smiling. And I said, what's going on? And she said, oh, I just feel so much more relaxed. I think I loosened the grip. And that's what we mean by loosening the grip. You know, it's doing the work, but not overcompensating and trying too hard. As one of my favorite doctors in the world, Dr. Lionel Lubitz says, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And that's exactly what we're speaking about here. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And one way can lead to great things and the other way can lead to frustration. And so, yeah, we're big believers in having a flexible approach. That's why you'll never see inside our program that we say you have to do this. We give you the pathway, we give you the tools, we help you with our model, and then you get to decide what you want to do with that flexibility. You have to have flexibility. You know, you can't be rigid with this. It's not going to get you far. It'll help you a little bit at the start, but it'll keep you blocked forever. So we need to loosen the grip. We need to have an open approach and a flexible approach. And with that comes change. Should I drop the mic? What are you thinking? What's going on in your head right now?
I agree wholeheartedly. But knowing that it's a really hard habit to change.
Especially on your own.
Because it's such a conditioning. We're surrounded by it. And so it can be really hard to change that. But, you know, when we change hard things, great things grow. And
it's hard on your own. That's why I'm such a big believer in mentorship and coaching. It is so tough. And the people that work with us know that I'm constantly investing into myself and learning and growing and getting mentorship, because without it, you're out on the ocean on your own. And it's like, how do you do it? You know, a fast way to change it is by getting mentorship and direction and getting help steering the ship, especially when, things are tough and they're ingrained. So don't be ashamed to reach out for help and get help when you need it, because hard stuff requires support and challenge requires support. And it's very important.
Yeah. And I think we're here on earth to help each other. You know, I don't think we're here to go life alone and figure out our problems on our own. I think we're here to help each other.
And that's what I love about our peer-to-peer clients through our private group, where they support each other, because it is pretty special that you have a learning or an insight and then you share it with the rest of the people in 54 countries and then they benefit from it. And it's like, oh, hey guys, I did this and it worked. Or, hey, I learned this. I had such an epiphany last week of this. And we see it every week. There's some really cool posts in there. And what would people's life be like if that wasn't there? If that wasn't in their life, you know, they would be pretty isolated and basically on a isolated ship in the middle of the sea going, which way's forward? If you think about mentorship and coaching, it's kind of like the buoys in the ocean, which is kind of like the floaty devices, and they're like yellow and green usually. And then that helps you navigate through to where you want to go. And so I kind of see that the same as mentorship or the mentorship recovery program and just mentorship in general. I feel like we're spoken about a million things today. I kind of can't remember the first topic we spoke about now. It's funny though, I'm going to pick
Well,
a
I
card
think
to finish with, and
yeah,
this is on top of the card, which is give yourself permission to just be. And that kind of just
it's
speaks into that middle ground, isn't it? Of like, stop trying so hard and stop trying to just give yourself permission to be. Give yourself a break and just remind yourself that you don't need to add on any secondary pressure or secondary suffering, as I like to say it, on top of what you're actually experiencing and going through already. I hope this was really helpful for you. There is so many great episodes previously done. So go through them now while you're here and, enjoy your weekend.
and coming up as well.
Yeah.
Coming up, we've got some
Yeah.
great ones.
Yeah. We've got like a whole list of people that are coming on our show, first-hand experience kind of people, and it's going to be pretty special. So big shout out. And hey, can I ask you a favor, actually? If you're listening to this right now, could you please go onto Apple Podcasts and leave a review? Give us a few stars, hopefully 5, and leave a great comment. What have you found so helpful so far? The more you share this with your friends and your family, and if you want people to understand you better, feel free to send it their way, because it means that we can reach more people. And, one of the things at CFS Health, our goal is to help the person who's sitting there on their own, feeling like there's nothing out there that can help them. And if they can stumble across this podcast because you shared it to a friend and then they shared it to somebody else, we're going to make the world a better place. So really appreciate that. If you do that. Thanks again for listening. Ash, thanks for being here. As always a great convo.
Thank you.
Always juicy, and we'll speak to y'all soon. All the best. Bye for now. I hope you found this episode of the podcast really, really helpful. Here are 3 ways we can help you whenever you are ready. So first of all, we have a free information group on Facebook. And so if you do have a Facebook account, make sure you go and join that group. There is strictly no negative venting. It's a very supportive, uplifting group. And there are some great trainings in there that can help you get started with your recovery. So it's called the CFS Health Recovery Information Group. There's a link here anyway, so click that link and join it. The second thing is we have a bunch of free trainings that will really help you understand where you're at, but also help you move forward. So we're going to leave a bunch of free trainings for you. So click on that. We'll send it to your email, and obviously you can watch them in your own time. And thirdly, we've just created a 15-minute chat link. So if you're someone who's like, man, this sounds really good, this is really helpful, I really want some personal help, and you want to have a step-by-step plan that will help you go from where you're at to where you want to be, we have opened up a few spots to have a 15-minute call, no strings attached. Basically, this call is to see if or how we can help you. If we can, we'll be able to share with you some information on what that would look like. And if we can't, we'll send you some free resources that will help you if you would like to do that. So we're going to leave a link below. You can book in your 15-minute call. This is not a coaching call, so don't expect to get coaching in a 15-minute call. This call is really to have a conversation around you, what you need help with, and whether or not we can work together to help you get the results that you want. So if CFS Health, the mentorship program, sounds something that you're interested in, but you're just not quite sure about it yet, this is a perfect opportunity to book in that call, have a chat, and then of course we can go deeper if this is something that you would like to do. Hope you found the podcast helpful. Please leave some love, especially on the YouTube channel. Go and comment on the videos that you found helpful, and appreciate all your support, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. All the best for now. Speak to you soon. Bye.